confirm and sign the minutes of the meeting held on the 3rd of February.
Might want to move that there then.
Why did you do that? Was over there.
We're on live on YouTube.
That's fine. Hello, YouTube. Hello, YouTubians.
YouTube.
Thank you.
Sorry, Madam
YouTube. Okay. Wrong. I'm so sorry. Okay, this is the financial report to consider and receive. First one, income and expenditure report, please.
That's right, the income and expenditure report is a standard item, comes to every general management committee meeting. I've had no questions about it. We are right at year end now. Actually, in terms of the balances, we've also had, as you can see, our internal audits and in-house audits. Neither of the in-house auditors are here, they've both apologised. But the net income over expenditure is looking at about plus 44,000. So we're £44,000 less. It's spent less money than budgeted for. So it's good. It's good news, really. It's good.
Yeah.
It's not an overspend. The second report is the Section 137 report, which is the money that we have to declare at year end for spending on the Section 137 capability. As in previous years, we've spent money on the poppy wreaths and PA system for Remembrance Sunday, as we have no other specific power to spend money for that particular item. What's not included here and has come in afterwards is the grants that we gave to, I think it was Woodlands Primary School for the defibrillator as well, which is also coming in under Section 137. Expenditure will be declared when we close down. It's a procedural matter, really. Every authority does this. There's the in-house audit report, which Clive Hutchins prepared. You've got that before you. I believe there's no substantive issues there. We can go through it if you'd like to see. I can pick those up here. I didn't have two copies there. So working with Hartsmere Borough Council about investing with them, piggybacking on some of their investment schemes. That's progressing. We noted that we received the internal audits with no qualifications or actions required, which is once again very good and becomes something of a pattern now. For many meetings, many years now. It's not just that we receive an unqualified audit, it's that they have no recommendations for us. So something right must be happening here at this authority, if that's the case.
Can we, Madam Chair, would it be possible for us to thank the deputy town council?
It is, yes.
Absolutely. Of
Can
course.
we
Absolutely.
can we thank the deputy town
Yes.
for our what's the word?
Her sterling work in ensuring that
Yeah.
the processes are in accordance with any legal financial requirements.
Madam Chair, I'm going to be a bit more of a pain on this one and just say, well, what will we do to make sure that we still keep our staff on their toes so that we don't fall into, oh, well, we get it right every year. So what do we do to make sure that we continue down this line of...
Well, I mean, that's a very good question, Councillor Butler, and actually, I'm coming on to something just on the in-house audit report, and that is that we're now going to be updating our financial package, or perhaps changing it, which is going to involve the staff relearning a new system, because this is going to be a cloud-based system, with the advantage that our customers, or clients, or members of the public wanting to avail themselves of our services will be able to do so from our website. So people wanting to book the hall or buy allotment plots can do so, or concert tickets will be able to do so from our website, but the systems will talk to each other, so that will be linked. So the very fact that this new system is going to involve our staff relearning a new package is going to keep them on their toes, because we'll have to.
You can see the angle of my question. I just don't want to fall into that trap of, oh, well, it's all right.
Yeah.
one never
No.
becomes complacent. And if we did become complacent, I can assure you the auditors would pick up on it anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yes, the underspend was noted, and the advertisements for that's part two matter to do with the post, and they also noted that the planning decision on the building works was being awaited. That's also a confidential matter to consider later. So nothing dramatic to report there, and I'm happy to say that it looks like we're all set to close down. There are a number of, we call them accruals, where we'll be spending money out next year, but out of this year's budget, because they're activities that we've agreed to confirm this year. So, for example, we've just agreed to give the money to the food bank for the microwave ovens, 10 microwaves, £760.
That's brilliant.
But
That's
only
such
today.
a worthy cause.
Only today had the details, so that'll come out of last year's money, but happen next year. So over to you, Madam Chairman. The next one's the
Six.
insurance policy and asset register. Again, very procedural matters before we go on to perhaps the meat on the agenda. So note the renewal of insurance takes place on the 1st of June 2023. That's one further term, and at that point we can look at alternative providers, although I believe that members and staff certainly have been relatively happy with our current provider, but we'll always get a best value review at the end of our term. I think it's a 4 or 5 year term that we employed with the insurers, was cheaper that way. And then the asset register to comply with the annual return. And there is one figure which I hope that you find odd on the asset register, and that is the very first one to do with the valuation of these premises, which has just historically been listed at £1 million. Now we have asked various architects and other contractors to see whether they can give us a more up-to-date valuation.
Definitely not, is it?
Now, it was problematic to change it initially with the auditors because they said that you had to keep the previous value on the sheet, but we've since challenged that. But yes, it's good practice anyway to get an up-to-date valuation on the premises, and especially as we're looking at building works to get up. Now, the architects who are working with us on the building project are unable to provide us with. We have asked them with this particular item, but we'll get to that. There shouldn't be any great complication to have some chartered surveyors perform a valuation. We did so on the car parking spaces with a firm of chartered surveyors. Maybe I'll use them again if they come in at a reasonable price for us to do so. But it's not a difficult thing to do.
No,
No, it's just a commercial value opening.
this is what I'm saying, this
It's
is
been open market
ridiculous,
value,
isn't it?
yeah. Bricks and mortar valuation.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's that. Then going on to the, as I said, the more substantive items on the agenda, Madam Chair, through you, is the community grants. Now, there's one which has just come in today, which isn't on the agenda because it will go to next time, from Pennywells, the riding school.
Yes,
But what you have before you today is the application from the Women's Institute, who have asked for £500 for craft activities. And as you can see, there's plenty of money to
it's fine, I would think, what do you think, anybody?
Oh, it's
I mean,
good.
I think it's a lot of money for an organisation that only has an average attendance of 25 people.
How many?
25?
No, but it's not really, because they don't have any money, I don't think.
Yeah,
They've not got very
It's
much.
25 people, about 20 from our school board, so it's £500 for about 20 local residents.
Yeah, but it's
I don't know
ongoing,
what
isn't
people
it?
think, I mean.
It's ongoing,
I hear what
yeah.
you're saying.
It's ongoing.
We're paying £500 for a year, say, for 20 craft activities for 20 residents of this town.
It's a social meeting point for members that enable them to make friends. This is massively important, massively important.
Fine, I mean, I accept that, but I think personally, and that's my opinion, that £500 is a lot of money. I
For
think
25
for 20
people.
20 from the
20
town, 5 not from the town.
Five
So-
not from the town?
Yeah, it says, look, according to the form,
25, it says
25,
25,
about 20 from us.
Okay, they don't really know, okay.
They also pay a subscription instead on the form. So
Total reserves.
I don't know what members think, but I
It's not
personally
very
think it's £500 isn't a fortune, but it is quite a lot for to benefit mere 20 residents. I mean, if we use £500 to hire a truck for the parade, it would benefit far more residents than.
Yeah, but this is ongoing, this is weekly. I believe they meet weekly.
So, but they also get subscriptions. I mean, that's my opinion. That's.
I mean, the thing is, we can, look, I think we should reward them something. I hear what Simon's saying. I think maybe we reward them something and then maybe suggest what about the ward councillors? They've all just been, you know, from the borough and stuff, they've just been given more money to spend. So from their 500, now they're like 750, I think, to be able to allocate and whiz.
Right.
So actually, we could give them a token and say, well, what about asking the ward councillors to also bolster up the rest of the
Yeah.
funds?
That's a good
That's a good
idea.
idea.
Because they've got additional funds this year.
Well,
so-
why don't we give them 250 and then
Yeah.
suggest that they ask?
Yeah, ask the
Yeah.
ward councillors.
Well, I'm having that. I mean, I think we should help fund them.
Yes,
But I just feel £500 for 20
I agree.
people.
I do.
sounds quite a lot of
Okay,
money.
so £250 for the recommendation that they seek contributory funding from ward councillors.
Yeah, and we can always send them the link from Hartman's
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
Good
Just a
idea.
supply.
that's a good idea.
I do, you know, it is, I know it's a small group, but there's lots of small groups around
Yeah.
as well that need help. And,
So-
and even if it's 20, if you could just let me,
Yeah.
even if it's 20 or 25 people, you know, those 20 and 25 people are at least socialising mentally, and it's such a good thing that even, honestly, it doesn't matter how big the.
No, I accept what you're saying. I fully accept what you're saying, and I think you're 100% right. I just feel that £500 is a lot of money for 20 people. And
Okay.
if we gave £500 to every single small social group in this town,
Right.
we'd run out of money very quickly.
We would, but we couldn't do it.
We couldn't do
it, no.
So therefore, I think that by giving £250, we're contributing towards the
Yes,
sustainability
and
of
it's
the
goodwill
residents.
as well.
Okay, then yes, then.
But it's better value for money from a resident's perspective. It's £250 for a year for 20 people.
Yes, this is,
As opposed to £500.
Okay.
for 20
Well, that's what we've agreed, isn't it?
So,
Yeah. okay, so we agree with you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Okay,
Yeah,
Richard?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Um,
There we go.
And that doesn't need to go to full council.
No, it doesn't.
It's less than
No.
Yeah,
that.
fine.
The next item, Madam Chair, is the filming of meetings. Actually, the 6-month trial period where full council asked that full council and GMC meetings, and only those meetings, be filmed post-COVID, has now come to an end, although we are filming this evening's meeting. And so it's up to this committee to decide, well, it doesn't have to decide this evening, what it wants to do going forwards, bearing in mind a number of factors, such as the staffing involved for doing so, the reach of these meetings, the call, I know some councillors have called for openness and transparency and to be demonstrably democratic and so on. So all of these factors need to be taken together in deciding what the council wants to do going forwards. And maybe another factor is what other authorities are doing, what comparable sized authorities are doing, and whether it's a sledgehammer to crack a nut or something we're not doing enough of. By and large, they don't go to the same measures that we do to live stream the meetings for a start.
Okay.
And if they do video them, then they're just on the website, whereas we put them on the website and on YouTube, and we spread them around. But I know that there are others who feel that all meetings should be videoed and recorded and webcast and so on. So it's really a matter for this committee to decide. But factors, just to repeat myself, that you must take into account is what's the sort of cost benefit analysis of this exercise. How many viewers are we getting? What's the risk, given the fact that our committee minutes not accurate a representation of what's said? What's your benefits for doing so, and the staffing implications? I know we're coming to additional staffing in the later stages of this meeting. So over to you, members.
Yes.
If I can,
Sorry,
no, I can start with the opening salvo.
You were speaking.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Hugh. I think you've kind of asked a couple of questions in there, which I'm hoping you might have the answers to. What are the fume figures from each committee? Do we have a breakdown on that at all?
I can tell you right now.
That'd be lovely if you did that. That sort of information helps us.
Yeah.
Okay, the last full council meeting, we had 46 views. The full council meeting before that, we had 7 views.
7.
Yeah, that's in March.
5 of those would have been me, probably.
The general management meeting in February, we had 24 views. The full council in January, 55 views. The full council in November, 47. The general management meeting in November, 26.
So some of those will be multiple views, won't they, of the same
Yeah.
person
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
multiple,
yeah.
multiple views. I'm looking back to pick other bits.
Yeah.
They're useful to me in many ways for preparing the minutes of the meeting, for example, as well.
So that then leads on to the next question, that in the sense that, okay, you could argue that, like you quite rightly say, that it's useful for you, so it's a good tool for officers. If we're looking at a minute-taking officer as well, it could be useful for that officer. There is a benefit to this. There's also negatives, because some people don't like being filmed.
That's
a
right.
fact. So I get the two sides of the argument.
And alternatives, Richard, whereby we could simply record audibly
Yeah.
the meetings, which doesn't require an additional person
Yeah,
to be there.
that
Rather than,
that's a
rather
good
than,
idea.
Yes,
rather
and
than.
Madam
think-
Chair, doesn't anything of any importance decided at meetings comes to full council?
Well, yeah, but I would argue,
This is a
if I could argue, like, look, we're gonna look at the infrastructure of this building and redevelopment potentially. So if we do that, I think actually that type of infrastructure should be put in place
Yeah.
within that
Absolutely agree with
development, okay? Because I think it's quite right
That's
that we have
something
that.
different, yeah.
And you don't know when legislation changes, because at the moment we might be leading the way in something that government, central government, might one day say actually all meetings, regardless of the level of council, might have to be recorded
Yeah.
and put
That's
out
right.
on public streets.
That's right.
So we could be leading
Get
the way.
ready, get future-proofed
Exactly.
for
So,
such an eventuality.
yeah.
You make a good point, I think, Councillor Butler, in saying that, because there are other things which are happening at the authority at the moment, which I think, do we want to do that right now, spend that outlay money, given that if we have the building works, that's like money wasted, isn't it? Is it a good time to wait? Is it good to wait until we have the infrastructure in place and the technology in place?
Absolutely.
To
that's
do it
why
at that
I-
time, rather than having, because there are some people who criticise the quality of the video recordings that we do, so they're not professional enough and so
Well,
on. Which,
I mean, I'm still in favour personally of video, to be honest with you, especially for council. Maybe when it comes to these meetings, I'm probably more happy with just at the moment a recording on an audio. However, I mean, yes, you're quite right to point out that these numbers are still low. However, maybe whether or not that's because we're not outreaching further enough, people aren't that interested. But we don't know if something really kicks off like we've seen in the past with the transport forum and stuff. We know, for instance, when Sterling Corner happened, look at how many members of the public actually appeared to our meetings.
but there's nothing
You
stopping
don't-
people
yeah, but
coming
you-
to video
again-
meetings anyway.
Again, these people sitting there watching this from home, the churches are finding as well, people that are, elderly and do find it hard to travel,
Of course.
do interact with that. There are benefits, there really are benefits, and I don't think we should dispute that.
Well,
It
then
should-
for GMC
I
meetings
don't-
then, what about an option, is a proposal to say that potentially, could we carry on videoing the full council meetings until the building works,
And these
but
are.
not necessarily the general management
Yeah, and you
meetings?
can, but you can have it on audio, though, then you've got an exact, of what people are saying, exactly. Simon.
So, I feel that the viewing figures are exceptionally low. And the negatives are, the equipment, the cost of a member of staff, for 50 people watching. I think in some council meetings, it encourages members to, act for a camera. And I think at some stage, I notice, I think sometimes it can be negative in terms of, the discipline within our group. I do agree with Councillor Butler. I think that if and when we're able to redevelop this site,
Sure.
I think the
Exactly.
infrastructure with the fixed cameras and microphones should be
Yes,
physically
something
We
integrated.
have something,
And
a professional system in place.
Yes,
That
Totally
way,
different.
that way, the minute taker, the council officer who's taking the minutes will be able to operate, just turn on and off by a switch. There'll be a fixed angle camera, there'll be no messing up, just like in Parliament. It would be just like in Parliament, the cameras and
Look at
things.
that.
So for me, that's my opinion. I don't even think, if it's necessary to upload them onto YouTube. They can just be uploaded onto the council website, because that way it will potentially encourage people to visit the council website if they want to see recordings.
Yeah.
If it's on YouTube, it's just on YouTube. But we want people to visit our website, because that is the gateway to our services.
Do you know what, Madam Chair? I think this is, although GMC, we can make recommendations to take to full council, I would like to see what other councils think about whether or not we continue with this. Personally, I agree with you. I think full council should be done properly in that manner.
Because anything of any importance is brought to.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like tonight,
Yeah.
for instance, if that application, we were disputing that, we could say actually it's fine to full council, whatever, and ask them to deal with it, and we can all have a more open debate. I think there are benefits personally to filming, and I hear what you're saying, Simon. I do agree with what
I'm not
Councillor
saying
Rubin
it's
said.
negative.
There are some people that will want to show up and do
Yeah.
things sometimes, and I think that's outrageous, and I think and that's on probably both sides of
That
the.
probably can't be a consideration that I threw
No.
into the mix, although it is maybe the reality in terms of decision making. The opency and transparency, of course, the council's got nothing to hide.
No, we haven't. No.
We're audited in every way. There are certain decisions that have to be considered in confidential matters, but for legal reasons. Council's got nothing to hide, and of course, the council wants to reach out as far as it can into the community.
Yeah,
We're constantly trying to raise the profile of Ellesmere Moorwood Town Council, but at the same time, one doesn't want to put a disproportionate amount of energy into something which really isn't delivering. When you say 45 people, it isn't 45 people, is it?
No,
it's not.
It's often, there's probably one person looking at 10 or 20 times.
It's not 40.
That's my whole argument.
So for the sake of one officer at the moment, coming to every particular
So
meeting.
can I bring it together then? Can I just say that you would like it for the full council meeting?
Yes, definitely.
We would like a full council meeting recorded. However, we could have the other meetings audio. I don't know how that's done.
Well, yeah, I mean, if we look at Hartsmere, which is obviously the next level government up from us within the local area, I think only recently are we recording overview and scrutiny, for instance. I don't know if any planning's obviously open, isn't it?
It's definitely recorded.
That's recorded.
Yeah.
So maybe we should be looking at the type of meetings that we have being recorded and say, actually, yes, full council. Do we feel that our planning should be recorded? I don't know. I mean, at the moment we don't, do we?
Well, we don't. At the moment, what council decided was at the moment, up to the 6 months, which is now expired. Are you okay with that? Yeah. Was only GMC and full council. But, of course, when the new building takes place, all of the meetings can be.
There's an option.
Because it'll be there. It'll always be there.
Why?
What?
It seems, again, I think.
I'm not saying to do planning, but I'm just curious at what other councils do. I mean, I know.
It's not, doesn't mean
We're
it doesn't.
we're not decision making.
No, I appreciate that, but it's still.
Richard, yeah.
I appreciate that, but I think there's certain things that people do want us to be a bit more open with. As you say, we're not the decision maker of planning, and I think at Hartsmere it's a different matter.
Oh, no, it hasn't.
At every meeting, a set of minutes is taken. The minutes are then given to the chair or the mayor of that committee or council to look at, and then at the next meeting, as has just happened, the members who are at that previous meeting can look at those minutes. And if there's any argument to say, well, actually, I don't think that happened.
I will get on the video and I will show you the reality.
They can say, so nothing is hidden. Anybody has an opportunity to object to what was an accurate representation.
I think we need to just.
So at the moment we've just done GMC and we've done full council, haven't we?
Okay.
So is the decision then to do just full council up until the building
And
works,
continue
and
with
to look
audio.
at it again,
Continue with audio for
Audio,
GMC.
I'd like to audio, yes.
audio GMC,
Yeah,
but with the option, with the recommendation that when, the mechanics or the internals of the building fits are agreed, that they include a purpose-built,
Yes.
Yes.
recording system.
Yes.
The request I put through to Hartsmere Borough Council about the costs of their integrated system, which doesn't always work very well, I will say. Often the video is on the wrong person who's speaking, or
That's not us, though, isn't it?
this
Not
is our
correcting
bits.
it.
is tens of thousands of pounds.
Yep.
So-
All you need, really, and I know you're more of an expert on me, is a couple of fixed cameras that in the ceiling.
No,
And-
listen,
I think we need to take
we
into
have to do
account
it properly.
the fact that people may want to join meetings remotely in the future. So we might have a screen where somebody's joining the meeting from somewhere else, which would be great, because we could have potentially, you know, our neighbourhood
You
planning
will do.
Yeah.
consultant on a TV screen there as well at the meeting, which says she doesn't have to leave her home, but she can be part of the
But
meeting.
it's a new
Or other
building we're
people.
talking about, so.
Exactly. Yeah.
So-
So there's lots more to it than just
There are a lot of different
No,
capturing,
companies.
no,
capturing the images and the
Video,
words.
video, that's a new system, so there are different places.
Should we leave it like that, then I
Yes,
think I'm clear what
yeah,
we're
Yeah,
doing.
absolutely, that's fine.
Thank you. So the next item, Madam Chair, for review is policies and procedures. It's a very standard one. The fire safety policy and procedure for the next period. It's a standard one, but a very important one. And I think that we mustn't lose sight of our fire policies and procedures. And I will give you advance warning that we will be having another we have 2 fire drills a year. One for staff stroke hall users during the daytime, and another one where we will do it at a council meeting or a community meeting. I'm just giving you advance notice. But I'm
Do you know,
nothing today.
I congratulate you on that, because I've actually challenged Hartmere to do a fire evacuation during a full council, and as of yet, still nothing happened.
Really?
Because to me, you should experience what it would be
Yeah,
like
like-
potentially if you've got members of the public as well as all councillors in the room.
Yeah.
And it just helps to hardwire into people's minds where our evacuation routes are, where our assembly point is, and for people just to remember, this is, you know, one of those things which is very easy to put on the, I want to say back burner, but you know, it's got to be present in people's minds.
That's right.
I just want to say that in our office, we had a fire about 6 or 7 years ago. So fires do happen.
They do just.
We had a fire and it could have been serious, so thankfully it wasn't, but fires happen.
They do.
Of course they do.
This is very normal.
If we're going to thank the Deputy Clerk for her financial work, and also then say, you know, to thank the Hall Supervisor Neil Robinson for his work dealing with a lot of the risk assessments and procedures around fire and safety, and he's pretty good at it, and you know, make sure that he liaises with our health and safety consultants to ensure that we're up to date with legislation and following all the best protocols. So the next one, Madam Chairman, is the Information Commissioner's Office notes. Yeah, and just to let you know, it just helps to record it with a reference number that we've updated that. We can be fined if we don't do that. So that's happened. Here's one for you to have a discussion about, members. The next one is the Fairway Hall fee scale. In the past, sometimes members have said, you know, look, rather than having large increases in our fees for services, we should have smaller incremental increases on a more rolling basis. So what I've done here is inflate the hourly rates. These are the hourly rates, they're not the whole of that period, by a notional 3%, which doesn't actually raise it by very much. I did consider rounding it off to the nearest pound, up or down, but because the variance is so low, actually that would have a rather dramatic effect. And also because we have the automated hall booking system and that payments are made cashless now, so people aren't scrabbling in their handbags for 35p to pay, you know, that, or that we have to keep a petty cash flows of the.
Although wallets.
Exactly, that it's no great shakes to have amounts that are, you know, sort of £36.05 and so on.
That's fine. That's
It's okay, I think that's
I'm
fine.
I think it shows some science behind the increases.
Can I just ask just one question? Why 3%?
Sorry?
Why 3%?
It's a notional figure that's been used to make increases of this type.
Because
Historically,
we said we wouldn't.
No, but I was interested in why
Oh, why
3%,
just
why not
pick
Well,
4 or 2? That's my question.
It's been a notional figure that's been used in local government, like for increases of this type in the past. And actually, if we were to go with, you know, a lower figure, the variance would be so low that it would actually make no real difference. Still very good value for money, and what I will say, even with these, we are, I believe, pretty much booked out up until the end of the year. at Fairway Hall. So
Marvellous.
Very good.
Congratulations.
it goes to show. Although we are closing the hall for 1 week in August. It's August or July?
July.
It's a July for further repairs to the hall.
Why July though? Because August is a holiday that is people take a holiday, summer holidays in August rather than July.
I think it was to do with the availability, Sandra, of the contractors who were coming to repair the floor, but they weren't able to do that time. But
Okay.
They're all gone on holiday.
in any event, it needs to be done. It's part of the health and safety risk.
Okay, absolutely.
Well, in answer to that, Julie, just to say that it's booked nearly to the end of the year anyway, so August is booked.
Yeah.
I understand, but it's the quietest month is August. That's why I was.
No, I
saying
understand,
it's, uh,
yeah.
Fair enough.
Okay.
And then so if members agree to that 3% increase, we'll do that. And the auditors do like to see for all committees and that we record, even if there are no changes, we must record what our fees are for the following year. So it includes coach trips or allotment fees, etc.
Hugh, can I ask you, how bad is the hall then?
It's not bad. It's not bad, but
Okay,
it
so,
does need some work doing on some splits they're not deemed to be dangerous, but they are deemed to be needing attention. And the contractor who resurfaced the floor has taken into account the independent risk assessment that we had commissioned
Right.
and is coming to take remedial action.
okay,
But once again, as I said, with some of these other issues, perhaps if we're going to be having a whole building refurbishment anyway, does it make sense to strip an entire
No,
floor
it
away
doesn't,
and
doesn't,
put a
it
new one
doesn't.
in, which is then going to have to be stripped out
Waste of
again?
money,
It really
it's a
before
waste
the-
of money.
But we take very seriously, as we just discussed in the last item, our responsibility to ensure that as a provider of this space, that we have taken all measures to ensure safety for our users.
Absolutely.
okay.
That's what I'm saying.
The next item then is the exclusion of the press and public, which is for purposes of discussing proposals for premises developments and staffing matters.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you happy with that, members?
Yeah.
Dan, you happy to stop the camera? Just check that that's